on a vicious paper cut. In case that last sentence was too subtle, I'm not a fan of April Fool's Day. This might surprise regular readers, given that this blog regularly features the most frivolous and ridiculous of non-stories, in the science section no less. So surely I approve of April Fools. But no, I can't stand it. It grates on my nerves, and I'm a neuroscientist, so I don't use that phrase lightly. And, judging by most of the online reactions I've seen thus far, I'm far from alone in this. Why? Why would an occasion, which, whatever its confusing origins, is ostensibly about having a laugh, be so infuriating? Well, there are several reasons, both social and psychological. It's too familiar. It's too predictable. Officially sanctioned fun is an oxymoron. It's patronizing. It's worse if you work in comedy in any capacity. Collins mourns the loss of beloved children's book author Beverly Cleary. Beloved children's book author Beverly Cleary died on March 25, 2021, in Carmel, California, where she'd lived since the 1960s. She was 104 years old. Beverly Cleary's first book, Henry Huggins, was published in 1950, immediately setting a standard for realistic children's fiction. More than 40 published books later, Beverly Cleary has become beloved by generations of children. Mrs. Cleary has also inspired authors, including Judy Blume, to deal with the real issues in young readers' lives. As the author and reviewer Eileen Cooper said in ALA Book List, "When it comes to writing books kids love, nobody does it better." Suzanne Murphy, president and publisher, HarperCollins Children's Books, shared, "We are saddened by the passing of Beverly Cleary, one of the most beloved children's authors of all time. Looking back, she'd often say, 'I've had a lucky life,' and generations of children count themselves lucky too. Lucky to have the very real characters Beverly Cleary created, including Henry Huggins, Ramona and Beezus Quimby, and Ralph S. Mouse, as true friends who helped shape their growing-up years. We at HarperCollins also feel extremely lucky to have worked with Beverly Cleary and to have enjoyed her sparkling wit. Her timeless books are an affirmation of her everlasting connection to the pleasures, challenges, and triumphs that are part of every childhood." Becoming a parent during the pandemic was the hardest thing I've ever done. This completely different person I've become since I gave birth is someone virtually no one knows. In early March last year, I was heading home from a work happy hour on the subway when I realized that a woman was staring at my belly. She looked at my waist, where my coat was belted, and then at the floor, and then at my waist again, and then she very tentatively offered me her seat. I was 4 months pregnant. I'd also eaten a lot of fried food at happy hour in lieu of drinking. I felt pitifully grateful to this woman at the time, and I ended up thinking about her a lot in the following months. She was really the only person, apart from my husband, my obstetrician, some nurses, and my doorman, who ever saw me pregnant. My mother didn't. My siblings didn't. My best friends didn't either, or my coworkers, or any other kind-hearted strangers on the subway. After the second week of March, I stopped going anywhere, apart from occasional doctor visits and walks around the city. In July, I gave birth to twins, and then I stopped going anywhere at all. "You take those babies home and you keep them there," the head nurse at Weill Cornell Medicine told me, and that is exactly what I did. 3 Practices to Celebrate Your Day by Leo Babauta. What would it be like if today were special? I'm going to share a few simple practices that will elevate every day into something to celebrate. Practice 1. Win the day. Instead of starting the day with a list of tasks to get done, what if we identified 1 to 3 things that would make this day an absolute victory if we were to do them? So the practice is to start the day with a simple entry in your notebook or on a simple text document. What could I do to make this day a victory? I keep this list front and center and refer back to it multiple times a day. It helps bring me back to what I want to accomplish. Practice 2. A brief review. At the end of each day, it can be powerful to take a brief pause and review how the day went, and celebrate anything you can. Here's what I like to review. 1. How did I do with my win the day list? Celebrate any progress at all. 2. How did I do with my practices for the day? Again, any practice at all is a cause for celebration. 3. Where did I see the divine today? This only has to take a few minutes. Set a reminder. I often will take a few more minutes to set my intentions, win the day items for tomorrow. Practice 3. Ending ritual for tasks. We don't have to wait for the end of the day to celebrate. We can do it after anything we do. The practice is a simple ritual. Pause when you're done with something, before you move on to the next thing, and reflect and celebrate. By Myra Viola Wilds. What kind of thoughts now do you carry in your travels day by day? Are they bright and lofty visions, or neglected, gone astray? Matters not how great in fancy, or what deeds of skill you've wrought. Man, though high may be his station, is no better than his thoughts. Catch your thoughts and hold them tightly. Let each one an honor be. Purge them, scourge them, burnish brightly. Then in love set each one free. The pandemic has made the world better. COVID-19 has inflicted devastating losses. It has also delivered certain blessings. By Zeynep Tufekci. This year has been a terrible loss. People have lost loved ones to the pandemic. Many have gotten sick, and some are still suffering. Children have lost a year of school. Millions have lost a steady paycheck. Some have lost small businesses that they'd built for decades. Almost all of us have lost hugs and visits and travel and the joy of gathering together at a favorite restaurant and more. And yet, this year has also taught us much. Strange as it may sound, the coronavirus pandemic has delivered blessings, and it does not diminish our ongoing suffering to acknowledge them. In fact, recognizing them increases the chance that our society may emerge from this ordeal more capable, more agile, and more prepared for the future. Here are 3 ways the world has changed for the better during this awful year. 1. We now know how to code for our vaccines. 2. We actually learned how to use our digital infrastructure. 3. We've unleashed the true spirit of peer review and open science. Review of E.T., the Extraterrestrial. By Roger Ebert. Dear Raven and Emil, Sunday we sat on the big green couch and watched E.T., the Extraterrestrial, together with your mommy and daddy. It was the first time either of you had seen it, although you knew a little of what to expect, because we took the E.T. ride together at the Universal Tour. I had seen the movie lots of times since it came out in 1982, so I kept one eye on the screen and the other on the two of you. I wanted to see how a boy on his 4th birthday and a girl who had just turned 7 a week ago would respond to the movie. Well, it worked for both of you, as we say in Grandpa Roger's business. Raven, you never took your eyes off the screen, not even when it looked like E.T. was dying and you had to scoot over next to me because you were afraid. Emil, you had to go sit on your dad's knee a couple of times, but you never stopped watching either. No trips to the bathroom or looking for lost toys. You were watching that movie with all of your attention. Then how much we move when it comes to fighting obesity. When children gain excess weight, the culprit is more likely to be eating too much than moving too little, according to a fascinating new study of children in Ecuador. The study compared the lifestyles, diets, and body compositions of Amazonian children who live in rural, foraging communities with those of other indigenous children living in nearby towns, and the results have implications for the rising rates of obesity in both children and adults worldwide. The in-depth study found that the rural children, who run, play, and forage for hours, are leaner and more active than their urban counterparts, but they do not burn more calories day to day, a surprising finding that implicates the urban children's modernized diets in their weight gain. The findings also raise provocative questions about the interplay of physical activity and metabolism, and why exercise helps so little with weight loss, not only in children, but the rest of us too. Actions matter, and words alone don't count for much. That philosophy may be popular, but it isn't based in truth. Words matter tremendously. Words are actions, and they absolutely do count, at least as much as any other form of action does. Words influence people. Words create impact, even when you're not trying to be impactful. Words create ripples, and words incur responsibility. With words alone, you can change the course of someone's life. You can affect someone well beyond, or contrary to, your intent. The law recognizes this too. You can go to jail just for your words if you choose the wrong ones, including in countries that profess to have great freedom of speech. And you can most assuredly be sued for your words. Intent may be considered, but the bigger issue is impact. With your words, you could contribute to damaging someone's health, ending a job or a relationship, or even ending a life. You could also inspire someone to make a major positive change in their life. You could reduce someone's stress. You could help form a healthy and positive relationship. You can have these effects with words alone. How many transitions would never have occurred if certain words had never been voiced? How many regrets trace back to words alone, whether spoken or unspoken? You don't need a large platform or audience to have impact with your words. A small number of words communicated to one person can be unexpectedly life-changing. I guarantee you that your words have already affected people and will continue to affect them in powerful ways you don't see at all. Beeple sold an NFT for $69 million through a first-of-its-kind auction at Christie's by Jacob Kastrenakis. Until October, the most Mike Winkelmann, the digital artist known as Beeple, had ever sold a print for was $100. Today, an NFT of his work sold for $69 million at Christie's. The sale positions him among the top 3 most valuable living artists, according to the auction house. The record-smashing NFT sale comes after months of increasingly valuable auctions. In October, Winkelmann sold his first series of NFTs, with a pair going for $66,666.66 each. In December, he sold a series of works for $3.5 million total. And last month, one of the NFTs that originally sold for $66,666.66 was resold for $6.6 million. NFTs, or non-fungible tokens, are unique files that live on a blockchain and are able to verify ownership of a work of digital art. Buyers typically get limited rights to display the digital artwork they represent, but in many ways, they're just buying bragging rights and an asset they may be able to resell later. The technology has absolutely exploded over the past few weeks, and Winkelmann, more than anyone else, has been at the forefront of its rapid rise. Intelligence versus Stupidity by Henry H. Walker. We modern humans are in a race between our intelligence and our stupidity. My wife and I got our second shots of vaccine today. An insidious, often deadly virus has been understood by our science, which then figured how to talk to our immune system, to convince it how to pattern effective disease against relentless, mutating offense. Yet right beside such willful use of the mind paces a willful ignorance that denies observable truth, as clear as what's before your eyes, as 2 + 2 = 4, despite what the commentators they listen to assert. I cannot improve on Dickens in the duality he described, of the best of times and the worst of times coexisting. The race is on, and my money and my life are betting on our intelligence. Still, stupidity is coming up fast on the outside. How sad it is that the winner is in doubt. Despair comes at the future as fast as hope. Heart and head need to root for our better angels over our lesser demons. Dear Joe, happy birthday. You are 6 years old today. It's hard to believe that it's already been 6 years since we welcomed you into our life. You have brought your mother and me more joy than you can ever imagine. Over the past year, you have grown up so much. You know more and more English words and Chinese characters, and you are able to use numbers in fun and exciting ways. You've also taught your brother so much, and even made videos to teach kids online. The past year has been a challenging one for the world and for our family. Along with the challenges, though, we were able to spend lots of time at home with you and Alex, and we will be grateful for the rest of our lives for that extra time together. You listened to stories, played games, and ran back and forth on the couch thousands of times. Turning 6 means that you'll be starting first grade this fall, and we're excited for your new adventures. My hope for you is that you'll treasure and enjoy your last few months at preschool with your friends and teachers, and that you will welcome the new adventures and challenges that moving to a new school will bring. Your mother and I are always here to support you on the way. Thanks for sharing your smile, love, and imagination with us, Joe. Your mom and I love you so much. Love, Dad. What's the difference between like, love, and in love? By Derek Sivers. What's the difference between like, love, and in love? How do you know when you love someone instead of just liking them a lot? How do you know when you're in love with someone instead of just loving them as a person? I asked a bunch of friends these questions and got a huge variety of answers. If I like anything about someone, I like them. If I like everything about someone, I love them. If I like everything about someone and we have great sex, I'm in love. Like is liking someone, but conditionally. Love is liking someone unconditionally. In love is just a glorification of a temporary infatuation. Eventually, it becomes love. This sounds morbid, but I think of it in terms of how I'd react if they died. If I liked someone and they died, I'd be sad and cry once or twice. If I loved someone and they died, I'd be devastated and cry for days or weeks. If I'm in love with someone and they died, I'd want to die too. How do you know? Do other languages have different terms for love versus in love that make it more poetically distinct? 2 strings to our bow. Excerpted from Warren Buffett's 2020 letter to Berkshire Hathaway shareholders. Charlie and I want our conglomerate to own all or part of a diverse group of businesses with good economic characteristics and good managers. Whether Berkshire controls these businesses, however, is unimportant to us. It took me a while to wise up, but Charlie, and also my 20-year struggle with the textile operation I inherited at Berkshire, finally convinced me that owning a non-controlling portion of a wonderful business is more profitable, more enjoyable, and far less work than struggling with 100% of a marginal enterprise. For those reasons, our conglomerate will remain a collection of controlled and non-controlled businesses. Charlie and I will simply deploy your capital into whatever we believe makes the most sense, based on a company's durable competitive strengths, the capabilities and character of its management, and price. If that strategy requires little or no effort on our part, so much the better. In contrast to the scoring system utilized in diving competitions, You are awarded no points in business endeavors for degree of difficulty. Furthermore, as Ronald Reagan cautioned, it's said that hard work never killed anyone, but I say, why take the chance? Harry, Meghan, and the Pact Between the Royals and the Press by Isaac Chotiner. A year after the Duke and Duchess of Sussex stepped back from their royal duties and embarked on a life outside the United Kingdom, the couple sat for an interview with Oprah Winfrey. The result was 2 hours of television in which Meghan Markle and her husband, Harry, chronicled the alienating treatment they faced inside the British monarchy. Markle said that she reported feeling that she didn't want to be alive anymore, but that she was denied access to mental health care. She also described racist and discriminatory behaviors within the royal institution. During her first pregnancy, at least one member of the royal family expressed concerns about what color her son's skin would be. Around the same time, Markle said, the family discussed changing a rule so that her son would never become a prince, a title which would have entitled him to security protection. A statement from Buckingham Palace said that the royal family was saddened to hear of the couple's difficulties, and that the issues raised, particularly that of race, are concerning. The incident recalls an earlier public relations crisis for the monarchy, when Princess Diana talked publicly about her mistreatment by the royals during her marriage to Prince Charles. Unstuck. Create a New Path for Yourself by Leo Babauta. Sometimes it can feel like we're stuck in life, doing the same things we're unhappy with, over and over again. Maybe you've been procrastinating on your meaningful work, or getting stuck in indecision or perfectionism. Maybe you've been putting off exercise or meditation, getting your finances in good shape, or making some other important change in your life. We get stuck. I'm a living testament to the truth that we can get unstuck. In my life, I've been stuck many times, and it turns out there's always a way through the stuckness. It's not turning away from the stuckness, but turning towards it, going through it, embracing the stuckness, and letting it unstick itself. I'm going to talk about a few principles of getting unstuck and creating a new path for yourself, and then talk about recommendations for changing your habits this year or getting good at doing your meaningful work. Ways to get unstuck. There's no one way to do this, but I've found some things are incredibly helpful. 1. Turn towards the difficulty. If you've been avoiding thinking about a difficult project, or your messy finances or messy clutter, or your exercise or diet or other health issues, not much will change until you turn towards it and face it. A willingness to turn towards the difficulty and work with it is one of the most important requirements to change. I Wandered Lonely as a Cloud by William Wordsworth. I wandered lonely as a cloud that floats on high o'er vales and hills, when all at once I saw a crowd, a host of golden daffodils, beside the lake, beneath the trees, fluttering and dancing in the breeze. Continuous as the stars that shine and twinkle on the Milky Way, they stretched in never-ending line along the margin of a bay. 10,000 saw I at a glance, tossing their heads in sprightly dance. The waves beside them danced, but they outdid the sparkling waves in glee. A poet could not but be gay in such a jocund company. I gazed and gazed, but little thought what wealth the show to me had brought. For oft when on my couch I lie, in vacant or in pensive mood, they flash upon that inward eye, which is the bliss of solitude, and then my heart with pleasure fills, and dances with the daffodils. Arbor Day Foundation Statement on J.